Acceleration settings and high set location, high interference, regular locations, all levels. I set up performance equation locations. There's a lot of things through TV reception lines, changing channels, the operation locations, channel operation line interference. So it's all about understanding a cable box. What is a cable box? Well, a cable box determines your line calculations of where you are through Wi-Fi and your modem line condition mode. Your mode is in a full cycle operation setting. The connections of the Zector line calculation system is only an observation until they get into their CPU set location. The conditions of the vector, the team set line condition, is an activation streamline calculation system. This is about TV monitoring your set location of power grids and energy locations. Getting calculations into hooking line calculation on high position location is line interference. Line interference is opening all calculations to your inhibitors. Inhibitors changes the channel operation locations. Changing timeline sequence locations into your age sets line communication 12 DNA, or rotation sequence location high setting in position locations. 144 DNA line setting is clock line conditions to all levels of their perception string. That's position location of CPU. Once it recognizes communication system, it's in 144,000 miles per second per channel, but it's on a 60,000 line signal in set location. 0 to 9 line setting, right away in CPU. Okay? The activation line stream in set location comes into higher levels of monitor. TV monitor line interference, right over left, left over right, plateau. Here's a hologram right there. That's how you guys are going to be able to see now. You see the hologram, right? So it's all about understanding the connections to anything through birth, anything through source, anything through creation, right? Bringing something alive for the very first time, okay? So it's all about understanding, seeing something that's a hologram. So we all have to recognize how this works. You have to recognize the monitors. You have to understand the I receptor line position location, your pixel streamlines, your line communication settings. The formula is now in a calculation line setting, lock-in signal and 007. Rotation location, high setting and position. 4 password line calculation streamlines, pentagrams, high line interference, location, high setting, line communication system into pattern defense line streams. Setting recognition line calculation system to a receptor, I receptor line calculation setting. High set line calculation and interference. Now, instead of location of team set line calculations, are going to put you guys into snowy grass screens. Is it a coincidence line calculation is 13? That says 13. 13 connections of your setting. No, that's a connection to higher self. Higher self has to recognize the connections to its tether, into power grid, energy grid line calculation system, into to measure. Everything that comes on channel is an operation line connection high system. You're working on 60,000 hours per square per mile per channel. Operation line setting location is its calculation setting. It's how to set these things up through your perimeters and parameters and set locations. And you're also reaching line communications of 3 into 4. So in percentage in line calculation, line interference, living 100 track line streams, setting this location in a spiritual system, crossing over, right? Coming back in signal, and position location to a box TV reception monitor. Now a power grid is above the system, the line calculation system. There's 3 standard line setting line conditions and levels: rainbow graph line calculation, pixel optics line calculation setting. Each monitor is set up in right over left. Your laser direct line setting, your TV line communication, I receptor locations are coming into monitors of conception. The pixel activation line setting. So in correlation system, the computer operation to your set line calculation system has to see your own reflections of you first through pixelation. And once it sees you through pixelation, then you come into moderation. Okay? So we're coming into pixelation line connections of DNA set locations. All right? Through digital coding, digital framing, digitalizing the line and position locations, analytical line calculation. The psychological of its line position is T reception line calculations. Okay? Channel operation line settings. So you're going to have a certain channel operation to your 12A, plus scene signal line calculations going back and forth like a windshield wiper, trying to understand the communication in your eyes. So you got to find its balance, right? And once it finds its balance, it centers its position. It crosses streams, and then it comes back to center its position, right? See, you have to understand how this sets up when you see intelligent locations on the Earth setting. It's the recognition locations of right over left, left over right. That's how the avatar through perception sees these things through its hologram of its grounds, powers, and its atmosphere through its magnetic highway information setting. So once it understands the visual location of snowy graph line calculation system, you come into coloration, into vibration. It signals its connections, all right? Recognizing the communication of the energetic wave setting, you're going to understand the position locations of program setting. Once you understand the alpha line setting, you're going to understand line communication system. Okay. Once you understand the mega, you're going to understand the operation to higher levels of channel streams. Now, there's a certain line calculation setting. It's a pixel stream. It's an allocated position of time sequence. The recognition line calculation setting is your inhibitors and back locations. So the adding frame is putting keyboards into line communication necklines. The constellation path is its monitoring device that's all calculated line calculation, line interference location of plasma and set locations. This is how your portal channel line connects to your phone settings. Recognition of time sequence is electrical board. Now, that electrical board is a center operation line setting to your set locations. Understanding how to use it is perception locations right over left, left over right. So it comes in position, centers the calculations. Now you got a plateau of a triangle. See? There's a triangle in the center. Now, there's a graph line stream in center position locations, a hologram. Okay? So it's a seating position, right? And anything that you see through a hologram, you see it from below, from above. It recognizes you, right? So try to understand the swivel, a set line calculation system. Think of a hologram going around and seeing its perimeters in set location setting. You know, you've probably already seen it on TV line calculation system when something comes above. Okay? So really understand how the perception stream works, but the position of the eye line setting has to be balanced first. It crosses streams, it comes back line calculation, and it sets up your TV set location, your satellite settings to your moon of operation. This programs your position location of direction. This holds all levels of channel in your eye receptor locations. Okay? So there's a lot of things you have to understand through moderation. All right. Okay. Getting in line calculations, we set up the formulas. All right. This is the formula location. All right. Setting direct signals. See? That's the formula. It's all set up. Right? And now it's disappearing. Right? Light is all levels of translation. See, it's all communication, right? See? See how it changed position? See that lacing line? Watch. Every time I turn lines, it changes the lacing line communication. Your eye receptors are becoming a resolution pattern. Now, in that line communication, you're going to see introvert and no longer extrovert. The introvert is the extrovert. Introvert, extrovert. So the eye is going to channel in and no longer channel out. They're going to channel in and channel out. Setting calculation line interference, how you see perceptual locations. Right? See that? You see that? You see that line cross string? But that's a point in that set of locations. All right. So TV lines is zero line rotation interference. Flux paths are 3 set location height system. 3 set line calculations, 3 line interference, high position locations. 2 line center into 7. Line position of 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1. 7 line, lock line, center line, and 0, 0, 7 equal line condition of 0 operation into high calculation setting. In track locations into square root. Square root in line communication, equal line calculation is 0, 0, 7, locked in line, center line interference of 5, and position of 12, DNA track location setting, the result location setting interference. It's all set up. Okay, now I want you to understand how you start seeing is all calculations through a TV line. Okay, so it's like you're looking at a TV, but the connection line, center line interference, the TV is now inside locations. So you're not looking at a TV from here to there. You're looking from a TV from in to out. So you become your own TV reception line of a monitor. So you're inside your TVs looking out. So if you understand that, it changes direct locations to Kier waves, right? You got your antennas and set locations, and you got your stand position location. Okay. Travel line, center line interference, over time set locations changes position location of tractions, right? This is where you guys come into higher advanced line conditions of TVs, right? From box to TV line setting to smart TV locations. Direction line calculation system, signal line calculation center interference, right? Direction line calculation system, you got 3 dials: line communication, line balance, and line rotation surface, right? All these are the essential calculations to your I receptor location settings. I opens up in set locations and channel operation stream. Now, the recognition line position location opens all channels, the operation to its surface, sets line communications into higher level position. And I got 0 line 1111, block line communication, and I got high setting. That's put position of 4 channel line calculation streams into line position of 6, 6 line position of 3, 3 position of 4, line communication and Fibonacci swirl line in set location higher levels of travel into your 12 DNA set location phenomenon into 12 channels upper stream locations in set location setting. Right? Done by equation. So, recognition of time sequence. Pattern lines is a reckoning line setting location of surface. Now, the surface location changes its position location of its directions. Okay? So line calculation, line interference, setting direct locations, right over left. Okay. So the right signal line calculation system in left line setting, obfuscation right line interference disappears in position. See? But see that line signal? See it above? Right? So your eyes are going through its own scan. So it's trying to recognize all set line settings. It's got all position location of pi, all position location of pi, north, and position of south, east, and west. So the center line calculation line interference, your I receptor location settings, is changing direct signals in set location. Okay. Recognition line calculation system. Levels equal line conditions of 1, ocular line interference. Okay, the ocular obtains line communication operation surface and location system compartment line setting. Rotation surface location into bandwidth and calculation center. Center operation eye circle location setting. Rotation surface line position locations to its box of its TV line calculation set line position. Opens all calculation system to another solar line stream, setting direct line signals into all levels. Setting line communication system is really understanding the position location of all setting. Okay. Now we got line communication is center line. Okay. 0 line rotation interference, direct location setting. Now line communications comes into all levels of travel line connections to its Merkaba. So the tesseract, the tetrahedron, and octahedron location, your computer of your I receptor line calculation system is being digitalized into its box frequency. Direction time setting, center operation line setting, rotation surface, setting direct locations into box line rotation. Now that box location changes the T reception lines in box line settings and rotation surface. Centers its calculation to another box line rotations. Ground lines open up into another position locations, higher levels of travel. But remember, it stays in the 12 signal location setting, rotation surface. The rotation line calculation system sets up another digital platform. That digital platform codes its signal in set location line inhibitors. Now, the inhibitor has a keyboard frame setting direct line condition to its computer of operation setting, operation surface, and its set locations, higher levels of channel position of operation. Okay. Now, getting to an infusion line string is setting line position the I receptor location to a flux capacitor string line. That's pi recognition of time sequence and set location setting. Recognition of time sequence line setting. Now, it's very complicated once you understand what your eye is doing through channel operation line setting Channel streams and position location is an operation surface. This channels its line calculations to your alpha, delta, theta, beta, and mega in set locations. It's reaching your DNA pattern and to digitalize your monitors in eye receptor locations. The oculars and all calculations to the corneal line setting line interference is changing the brainwave pattern. The directional line calculation system is channeling the operation to magnetic higher information line setting, setting up data streams in eye line rotation interference into rain showers in communication setting, into levels of 0, 1 calculation line rotations in its provision. Center calculation line interference sets direct location signals. All right, so the line calculation line interference is all direction of time sequence. All right, there's the eye set locations. All right, direction line calculation system, left over right, right over left, cross and stream, sending position locations. All right, direction location of pi, 1 position location, high setting. High calculation line interference comes into all calculations to an oval setting line position. Directional line calculation system. Now, the uniform line center scans 2 position location of track lines. Directional locations, center lines into 1 line, and position location of 2 line center locations, operation surface. Now, the scan line and line interference comes into line connections to its adapter line calculation system. Get the team line in rotation, eye receptor lines, a digital line, position location, hologram line calculation, the grounds, operation to a system. Position location of power line in direct line signals, power grids, energy grid, high center line, position location, high setting, signal line communication, right? Now the signal line comes into all levels into a box line rotation of a diamond set. That rotation surface sets line communication system to another ground line rotation, to another diamond set line communication system, to a DNA line interference in set locations, to all set connections. Solar line rotations comes into a panel line interference that's 3/4 in set location to another flux capacitor. High calculation, signal line communication line rotation system. Direction of time sequence line calculation setting. Now, all levels of operation to moonline is 0 line rotation and line connection of 7 locations of 5 line set location of 12. Now, the 12 cents line calculation system and 1 monitor calculation of 0, 0, and 3 set locations in the high setting. Okay. So the high setting line position of 1 comes 1, 2, 3. Now this channels this line stream. 1 line setting of 0, operation to its surface, triangulation line position locations of pi, in calculations of calculus, high set locations, communication line setting rotation. Recognition of time sequence location is its operation channel. 0 operation into 12 line signals in set locations to its positions of its slide. Recognition line calculation system sets up a timestamp. That timestamp opens up another pi position location north setting. Directional line calculation center lines its position location solar graph line center rotation. Setting calculations to an orb line, rotation of the division line to a channel operational line position of reception line into 12 DNA track location. Open all channel line rotation interference into right over left, left over right, panel line communication system, digitalized calculation line interference in all levels of 0 and 12 rotation setting. Okay. Done by equation. Okay, so setting up pi calculation, calculus over pi, recognition of power over force, is understanding the recognition line calculation. How to use it through digital frame setting is really understanding how you use this in all through track. Track line communications into 2 panels, line center, line position location, eye setting, rotation, interference. So position location and directions channels this line setting. Okay, see the eye set location? Disappears. So setting calculation line interference sets position of program. Now that program location sets 1 line setting and rotation surface. 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 sets location setting. Rotation surface in left line eye in position of 2, 3, 4, and 5 set locations. Directional line calculation system 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you got a shift line and a 0 gravity equation of 5, 5 line center of 7, 7 line conditions of 12, and line communication system in 12 DNA, track line conditions, high system. Left over right, right over left, right over left, left over right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in set location setting. Recognition of time sequence is how to understand the energy graph line streams, how it sets locations. All levels of another dimensional line sequence in the 3/4. That's 3 line setting, Fibonacci line rotation, the opposite circle line rotation interference in set location setting. High set calculations is your 12 DNA track line in set location high setting rotation. So 3 line conditions equal line conditions of 4. That's 4 generation of string lines in center operation, 2 its triangulation set lines, and 2 a position. All right. So it's kind of like a windmill in set locations. Windmills in 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 set line calculations and 3 in center line calculation string. Done by equation. All right. So putting monitors in channel operation line setting is understanding how to use the keyboards. So there's a keyboard frame lines in set location and next setting. The neck is a rotation surface. It's connected to the spine. The spine has a connection to a tail. Tail sets line communication. There's the tail setting, right? Tail set location in the bottom line, right? Rotation surface in a 12-line track line of a ladder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 set line calculation line settings. Direction of clock lines. Line position of the moon. Moon equals line condition of 12. 12 line position of 5. 5 position location of 7. 7 over line condition of 12. 12 line setting, line interference, and 12 into position of 24, 48, 72, and 144 stands on procedure. 0 line position, 0 line track, 0 line calculation, 0 operation, 0 surface, 0 inline calculation interference, 0 in position line setting, 0 inline calculation set the moon, 0 line communication of the sun, 0 line communication line inline rotation to 12 DNA track location set in position. Down through equation. All right, so as we come into high set line calculation settings, the recognition line calculation interference is 144. Now the 144 equal line calculation setting, position location digitalized, line condition of HD. HD in set locations, right? Higher tolerance and dimensional setting into 6 of pi in rectal location, all levels of set location line setting. Sun is on standby set locations, right? So the 144 sets line communication of center operation to Fibonacci into 3 sets, line conditions of 4, center communication, center line calculation system. Another OR channel comes into direct line setting, 12 DNA track lines into another position location of 0 operation to track location. Done by equation. All right. Staying on line setting locations of 144. Okay, is the record location of time sequence. Now this comes into all the calculations. 98% is position locations over 2. Line consists of square in position of root in set location. Okay. Now, once you understand that line setting line conditions, you take the 1, 1, 1. 1, 1, 1 is 3 set locations. All right. See it? All right. Setting calculations to its own pi of records on time sequence. That's where it comes into and position locations, all levels of windshield wiper in 4 set locations. Right, see the 4 settings? Setting line and positions to its pyramid set line calculation system is an override setting. The override sets lines of 3 set locations into measure set locations, right? That channels its line calculation system. UFO comes in, scans lines, sending line interference in set locations, scanning positions into center lines of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 set line calculation line interference, setting direct line signals into alpha in 3 waving patterns in 4 and 5 set locations of sectors and vectors of pi set location. Setting channel line center line interference sets the I receptor locations right over left, left over right. Direction of time sequence opens all position. Line calculation system. So this is where it comes into 98 setting line condition of docile, 0 line position of 100 set location in percentage over pi set locations of 2 setting. Done by equation. All right. But it's pretty powerful how you set things up in location high settings. Right, record location over 44. So because the Earth perception line stream is set locations of 144,000 miles per second, but it's also an 144 billion miles line calculation setting per channel. Okay. So once you understand the frequency pattern to Earth perception line setting, the Earth and its self-line calculation system rotates its surface to all levels of ether into new division line calculation setting in surface locations. All right. Record of time sequence. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? All from Earth perception setting. High calculation lines in box line, TV line, in position of 0 line rotation surface and set location setting. Record of time sequence comes into 1 line setting, into 2, into 3 sets, into 1, 2, 3, 4 set location setting. Rotation surface comes into line calculation system. So we take the 3 set line conditions into high rise, equal line conditions into 4. 3 sets lines in 196. Line calculations, line interference, factor over pi, reference line calculation system. Formations of box in the set location into triangle line setting, into north or south and east. Setting position location hall levels into new line communication in a test replication setting. All right, done by equation. All right. I have to get this in line calculation. So when I get this in line calculation, you really have to understand how to use it through code frequency. The set lines and the communication area receptor is now changing the line communication or holograph line setting. High calculation line interference is box location into travel position location, all setting and rotation. Right? And it just basically changes line connection locations. Illumination graph lines. All right, so central operation is now set up into 1, 2, 3, 4 set locations. All right. Now, recursion line calculation line interference is set locations. We got the pi lines, right? Setting the location of UFOs in 3 set locations. Pi recursion of time sequence. All right. So really understand these things. You have to understand what a UFO does in set location when it sets up laser settings. That's pi recursion of time. Setting lines of a 0 line in position location into a 0 line in position location in a 3-line sequence in set locations. Channel line interference location is 1 UFO in center calculation. That's 6 lines in set locations. That's 6 over pi position in set location setting in the line calculation setting into moon set and high rotation surface in set locations. Done by equation. All right. So there's a lot of things that you have to learn how to set these things up. It's all connected to 144. Now your clock line settings is 144 times sequence line conditions of XT line setting. You guys are coming into TX line center locations at 3,000 line center rotations into calculation into future line rotations. Formation line conditions avatar line condition all system add line, either line condition molecular light rotation surface in position location of box set location. All right. Now, the recursions of 144 equal line conditions and position of XT 1000 line setting rotates its surface. All right. So times 1 in set locations puts everything in 1 calculation setting, equal line condition in the system of 244 in set locations and clocking in the top sequence location. Now, the recursion line calculation system, remember, 2 Earth perceptions, sectors and vectors, teams coming into quads. So the recursion time sequence line calculation system is coming into trillion settings, which means your Earth perception is going faster now. The rotation spin in team line setting is coming into higher calculations to its setting into its sun rotation surface. All right. So we have to really recognize how to use the triangulation line setting into your moon sets and 3 positions in quadrant location set lines. Okay. It's complicated stuff. But the sun is always on a waiting signal until it gets into its 8 line calculations lines of pi in position line direct location system. Okay, so that's waiting on perimeter and parameter into new position location direction setting. The rotation spin cycles has to really understand right over left, left over right. Process signal is extremely important. So it's laser over laser, but the overlay is position location high setting. Okay, so it's this. So you don't see it until you see it. You don't see it till you see it. See how it changes? See? Just right? So once you understand what this is, then you understand what comes from below, above, right? So imagine that a hologram is coming out of sequence locations. Go through triangle line sets, 2 set location, high setting, inline communications. 1, 2, 3, waiting on signal. All right, you let it go, right? So it introverts its calculation, comes back to you through reception. The reception opens up a TV line. It's a program location and computer adaptation screen, voice recognition, pattern recognition, face recognition. 3 set line calculations into 1 set, which is your thumb, which is the moon. Pay attention to that, right? So inset lines, when you come into weather patterns, the recognition of time sequence has to really understand the 0 lines at equal location of 9. All right, set locations. We got in that calculations. So that's 9 lines setting into equal lines of 6 in set locations. 6 crosses streams another 6 line setting. Rotates its surface location to its moon line into a half pipe set location. All right. Now, once you understand the zero operation to 9 settings, you have 9 seconds equalized in each channel. Each channel is opened up to your mainframe that's connected to your age. Depending on your age line settings, time sequences into one measure that scales its balance calculation setting and rotation surface. So the zero operation sets line communication into 9 to 6 position location to a new triangulation set line position. That opens all set locations into all levels of a sail and a digital frame at eye receptor location. Done by equation. All right. So I'm just doing calculation modification to your eye settings. So how to set up the sequence pattern is to recognize the ET reception lines of your browser adapters. Now we got in that line communication string. Setting direct signals locations, I understand how to use your satellite calculation string lines. It's recognition of the position location of time sequence. So the 0 line rotation, 144, line calculation of 0, 0, 0, 0, and 4 set locations. 3 channel lines of a half pipe 6 line connections into all calculations into a moon set line calculation to its sun position locations. Okay, done by equation. So the 3 line settings of 34 rotation surface. Now the 4 line sets line communication. Remember, I'm adding frames, right? Into an atom line. It goes into the opposite side circle line rotation of expansion line calculation setting and rotation surface. Setting position location of direct line is really understanding its position of its triangulation of laser direct location settings and high set location. All right, done by equation. All right, so laser direct line signals. I know you guys are getting more complicated trying to understand what's going on. Well, it's all about understanding how to adapt to a position of a new world set, line calculations to a hologram set, to a simulation, to a singularity set that sets calculations to your line signals to understand how you see in position location to inversion to all calculation, right? So it's the inner line calculation to the outer core line. This resists its position location in higher setting. Once you have the inhibitors and channel operational line calculation system, it sets you up in monitors of your own power grids and energy line settings of energy source. The directional line communication system comes in all T reception line calculations. This is where you channel a line setting. Okay, setting calculations of box lines and rotation surface and set locations. All right, channels opera string. All right. Okay. Now, direction of surface is all over the plasma set. Plasma setup location, setting channel streams. The setting channel streamline center line interference of 0, 0, and 0, and 0, and 0, and 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in set locations. All right. Now, this is where you come into the energy line interference, the ocular location of setting. This is where you come into floaters to set locations. These are your floaters. All right. They're on a 3 waving line setting and 1 line center left, and line communications in the right set locations in right, and set location system, interact location setting. Now, understanding how your eye line works in set location is the directional locations how it platitudes its floaters. Directional location hologram line settings into 2 measures in set location position. High calculation line interference comes into its pi, so it creates its own windmill of set location setting and rotation surface. It comes in a channel line setting and rotation to its pi high set locations. It opens all channel operation line setting in operation surface locations. Done by equation. That's set up. All right. Setting 0 tracks. Now, a 0 track is an image line stream. 0 equals lines of track. Now, that track line, okay, opens up frequency patterns. Now, the frequency pattern line position locations opens line position of box. Now, box lines open another box into another box locations. Center calculation of box in the center line. Okay. Now, the direction of time sequence line conditions is line calculations to alpha, line calculations setting to another triangulations into beta, line calculations into delta, and set locations. Center calculations that where you guys are set location is line conditions of omega, a set location setting. Done by equation. All right. Setting right over left and left over right and balance position location digitalized setting, rotation surface, and set locations. All right, so the zero operation sets lines of a new zero line rotation of new ground setting and rotation surface. All right, so in alphabetical line rotation interference, keyboard phrase in set locations of two panels in set lines of two weather wires in set locations. The weather wires comes in two tracks in set location setting. High calculation sets lines of one line connections into all set locations into three weather patterns. Three weather pattern line rotation interference into atom line and crosses signals into a gamma line and rotations to a delta line into a beta into an alpha set location set rotation surface. Done by equation. All right. Getting into energy patterns as surface line stream is a recognition of time sequence. You have to really understand how this all works inside locations, right? So setting direct line signals to your RE set location is line connection, right? You have to learn how to use it through your holographic line calculation setting, right? This is going to set up an inversion channel of operation line connection to your plasma settings in digital frame location or T reception streams. This puts you in a high calculations, your pixelation, right? Boxing set locations into three sets, and position locations into three sets, and position locations into three sets. All right, so this is what a TV looks like up close in set locations into monitor setting line connection, right? So pixel frame line calculation setting. Each box has a representation to your personality traits and set locations. Setting direct signals into your cell lines and rotation surface. Now this recognizes calculation. 3-channel operation lines of 4, and that's where you guys are through percentage. So I'm setting line calculation in cells. Cells are modifying your I lines and line calculations into data line interference into an inventory set location. This is measuring your count line stream. 60,000 channels line and position locations, right over left and left over right, position location high setting. High calculation line position attraction. Done by equation. All right, so that's set up. Right. All right, so we got floater defense. Now we understand when we see a floater in our ISAN location, it's just I receptor line connection to the sun, right? Floater's line communication is 2-set line setting, laser line connection to 3-set measure. Measure calculations, floaters here, floaters here, floaters here, and 3-set location settings, right? You got to get balanced with the line calculation setting. Line position of 1, line position of 2, line position of 3 set locations. Done by equation, right? That's balanced out. Now the 3-line setting comes into 4. 4 sets line position of the sun line, waiting on signal through pi direction of time sequence. Okay, done by equation. So you're in 34 position of percentage line calculation system over pi of phenomenal set locations. All right, 3 sets through solar generation stream. Setting direct signals of 0 line calculation of 0 grounds. 0 ground line rotation. And setting position locations. It's fun, isn't it? A recognition line calculation, 1 strip. Setting line calculation system 2, its sail. Now, how this is set up is understanding how to use your calculation line setting, direction location of 0 line rotation in surface and set locations. Channel line settings, right? Now, once you get in a channel line stream, it comes into a flux capacitor line position. Flux capacitor line position. Flux capacitor line position. Scale settings, indaptation surface, and set locations. All right? Now, how this is set up is really understand the 0 line rotations to the sun and to the moon. All right? The sun and the moon. Now, the moon is illumination. Moon sets line conditioned of 0 line rotation to a surface of 3 set location settings. The rotation spin cycle sets line calculation system into all levels of your 12 DNA set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 line setting, 9 crosses line, 10 position up, line position 11, and 12 and set line calculation setting interference in set locations. That's my equation. All right, recognition of time sequence. Now you have to understand what the floaters are doing now in set location setting. Direction of time sequence is now changed in all direct location settings. Right over left, left over right. Measures and counts line position location and how we see ourselves in all set locations. 0, how you doing? All right, setting 0 line rotations into box. Box position location equaling to TV. TV line setting line interference into square root in set location setting, indirect setting. Rotation surface. 3 lines and 3 count measures in set location. 3 equals line condition of 4. forward line center line positions, 6 and 42 line strain cross the strain line positions to the moon line rotations to your Earth set locations. Earth is here in line conditions. Moon is here in 6 lines of 0 line into new flux pass from channel lines in 1, 2, 3, 4 set location settings. Done by equation, right? So the TV reception line is set up. The monitors are set up. Now, in set line communication, we come to channel line strain. Now, the directional line calculations, flux pass set locations, flux pass and line conditions of 0, 0, 0 line rotation, 0 line rotation. Cross the signal, 0 line rotation, 0 line rotation. Now, what the 0 is the representation to your perception line. This is personal traits line calculations, brings in line communication of 144, line calculations of 244, set line connection line system. This is line calculation system, electrical line calculation, all levels, setting line telepathy, circle lines of Fibonacci line swirl, and set location into 244. Line calculations into 144 set locations, done by equation, right? So that's how you set the 144 in your digital frame of your monitoring line calculation, power grids, energy source, direction line calculation system. Crystal grid lines, a 0 line rotation interference, setting track lines into all calculations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set line calculation line settings and direct signals. Setting direct signals and position location into a graph of a road line setting and rotation surface. Done by equation. All right. So setting these things up is all about recognizing your setting. Really understand how to surface to all level calculation. All right. So we got the 0 line rotations into box, line connections into triangle line connection system. 3 sets line calculations into 4, 4 sets line position of 5, 5 lines of 7, 7 position of 12, 12 line connection of 24, 24 to 48, 48 to 72, and 72 in line communications. 144 in center line into 244 in out circle line communication. Line connections of nano setting in line interference. That's line position percentage over pi. Sets 100% line strain in set locations into sector and vector through communication. Done by equation. All set line conditions into masculinity line rotations and position location height setting. Setting calculations, right? So coloration line stream sets position of point system in direct line settings into 4 channel stream locations. Direction of timelines, this where it comes into panel settings. Now the panel line interference comes into moon line rotation. Moon sets line calculation setting. There's the moon set location. There's the moon, right? Sun comes in set locations, crosses stream, right? So always have the sun, always have the moon, even though it's only an observation and calculation and activation line. Once you guys get into 70, 80, then you get a recognition of 80 line communication of pi setting. So the direction of 4 line center line and position locations comes into 1, 2, 3, 4 set location settings. Done by equation. It's all set up. Geographic map through your receptor line calculation system. 2 reception lines of channel operational line streams in your projected locations. 2 moon sets in observation setting to your sunset in communication of light streams and set locations into all set lines. 144 and DNA track location or perception line setting into 244 clock line conditions into new DNA set lines into 12 signals, 12 activations, 12 perimeter line rotation in calculation line interference. 36 valves in calculation line setting into 36 fields in rotation surface, holding all calculation in line communication system in track line setting of 0 equal line conditions of box, line position of triangle, and set location into DNA track location setting interference in position locations. Done by equation. All right. Oh, I know. There's a lot going on, right? So to set these things up is really understand how to use the digital line communication or channel operation line setting. So it's setting up a TV box line calculations, right? Really understand how you get you guys into turning on your TVs and getting into your channel operation streams and how many windows you can open up through surface location settings and direct patience interference. So Tina, zero calculations all over Geneva, Andy, Chris, Gypsy, a call, Pendall, Johnny, Laura. It's great to see everybody. Danielle, Gingy, Andy. All right. So we all having fun yet? Trinity, Captain. So there's a lot of things have changed now. Okay. Setting up projectors, a projection is really understand how to use your eye division settings. Understand right locations are right or left, left or right. So I'll set up location setting inference, interact location system. All done through equation. All right. Yeah, it is. Well, know exactly how to use this through calculation line interference. Zero line, zero graph calculation. Yeah, zero is right. Zero is in calculation line setting. Know exactly what it is. So it's a zero line. So you got a line interference locations. All right. So you got a zero line of a graph line that sets line position of one perimeter in a flux current set location setting. Okay. Now the direction of time sequence changes if the location system. Remember, you're on 60,000 hours lines of seconds. Line communication line interference. So we take the zero line, equal line conditions of nine positional level position locations into box equal location of triangulation. Male calculations and female set line calculation string. Okay. So we have to recognize our communication line strings, really understand the digital frame location eye receptors. Eye receptors are extremely important because it's connected to your receptor setting. You got two eye division, all right, set locations. Your two eyes, right? Sending calculations to your box line and set location of TV line set locations. Correction of two panels operation line setting. High calculations to your pyramid set locations into ground line setting in all calculation. There's the intelligence all set up. Hoo-ah. Now, so what's happened now is line calculation said, and line interference is set locations to all setting. You got two line track lines, templates and templates, set location and browse adapters. Line position locations come into your affinity cycles in set location setting and rotation surface. Directing signals is solar graph line rotation surface, line positioning, magnetic highway information setting. T reception lines starts line communication line interference, sets line communication downshift, 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 set location, right? Setting direct signals, line communication space recognition, 1, 2, 3. Other side line condition, 1, 2, 3. Set calculation line setting. Face recognition line communication system is all line position. Getting an outline line connection system, you come into all set line setting into zero line rotation surface and set locations. Done by equation. It's all set up. So really recognize the communications to your 34 settings now, right? Because 34 is set up to your digital line frames. It's connected to the astral travel position, the astral projection locations, how you see yourself from eye position. Eye position location is laser direction settings. Right over left, left over right. You're creating line communication into a plateau, which is a platform. Right? So understanding how to use that is really understanding how to use yourself now through a hologram and set location of reflection. Okay. So it's kind of like you're looking in the mirror and you're seeing your own reflection, but that reflection is inversion. So you're not seeing in position of outline, you're seeing everything from inline. So the T reception line is changing your perception line setting inside position, how you see things from right over left and left over right. Okay. It's now set up location of provision. Okay. Okay. So understanding the connections to your phenomenal locations, because the locked in signal line in position of 70. Okay, that's 70 in set location settings now. The directional line calculation system is its timer. Now that timer sets line calculation system. You guys were living on 1 minute sector. 1 equals line center line in position of 1 sector line calculation system. So that's an S line equal line calculation system, Merkaba up, Merkaba down, and set line calculations into solar graph line stream. Now the systematic line interference changes automatically into the moon set locations and channel streamlines. Now the recognition calculation system comes into north, and this is where it comes in all set locations. So your eye receptors is now seeing all calculations in front, in back, up and down, and side set location. Okay, so you're no longer seeing anything in front or back. You're seeing all around now in set locations. Setting position, setting position, setting position, setting position. Your eyes all set up, location setting. Done by equation. Wow. So, well, see, the thing is, guys, you have to really understand how this all works now. It's just your eyes are inception locations. So it's kind of like understanding a Rubik's Cube and how it rotates its surface, right? So it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, it's like this, right? So there's an atom line, a rotation strip. It's like when you turn on your TV, it opens up, right? So your eye receptors are in these locations now. Okay. Track line, division line, rotation interference is a TV box location of center operations surface. Your eye receptors and your pixel active streamline location is now in center line calculations, right? The liquid formation line calculation system is anti-mantle. Anti-mantle line calculation, the liquid formation locations, putting you guys in a higher formation line conditions to TX 3000 set lines. Now there's a graph line stream. Now you have a test review and evaluation coming up. Everybody comes into higher formation line calculations into higher levels of mutation setting. Valve line center 12 DNA rotation surface. This puts you in higher technology set locations into your platinum division location, your cells. Modification to its line connection system, protons, electrons, and photons. Okay. The electron setting is understanding how to use the measure carrots. The position of protons is understanding to use the protein cells. The calculations to the neutrons is understanding how to neutralize calculations to its red and white cell calculations to your immune system of chromosome location setting. Direction of communication line interference of photons is the calculations to its chemoset line calculated line interference. Coming to communications to its remote of channel operation line setting is your TV setting. Rotation surface to its set location high setting. High centers its position locations and how you see yourself in provision. Rotation surface to location setting is how to use your camera's operation to set locations in your 34, in your percentage locations of your AI division locations to your 70 track lines of T receptor locations into your window set calculation. All right, channel operation streamlines, power grids, energy source, line communication, in-line interference, how to use yourself in a film projection. Okay? So, done by equation. All right. Beautiful. I've been shown how a horse through my DNA can travel in the different dimensions. I can see the hologram. Yeah, but see, that's exactly what it is. So you're not just seeing things in front and back. You're seeing it all around now, right? It's all understand how to set your eyes in line calculation setting. So you're not just seeing your Earth now. You're seeing everything around its Earth. So once you understand how this works for you guys, you understand the recognition of time sequence, but it's all calculated and modify how you use a formula location settings. The direct locations to its masculinity and femininity is now balanced in both eye set locations, right over left, left over right. So you're all going to see location lines of laser direct locations in center operation. Center operation. Everywhere you look is center. Nothing is off balance. Nothing's off balance. So the eyes now are coming to snowy graph line interference, coming into channel line conditions, pick activation streamlines, off signal, off panel, off calculation line interference, ocular line interference, eye receptor line condition division. It's all set location near settings in balanced position, right? So wherever you look is balance, and wherever you look is center. You don't put a dot in the center and say that's the center of everything. No, because your eyes see different. So the channel line, streamline, everything that you see is center. Okay, so you take a block, one block line setting, rotation interference, set locations. You start with the blocks. Now there's a 4-channel stream. All right, that's all it is set locations. That's one line setting, rotation surface, setting locations into its platform of communication. All right, it travels this line signal. Okay, across the system. See how I go through that? That's what it is. So it's crossing light streams. Okay, digitalizing your data streamline settings to all levels of your data port line calculation, your accepted position locations. Right, it's truly understand how to use your connection to your inventory settings into your foundation graph lines. Letters, numbers, and shapes and symbols are now set locations in right and left, and I set location. Done by equation. It's all set up. So we're on 15 line settings into all set locations. Taking you guys back out in the set line setting. All right, you guys are back. All right. So I really want you to recognize the communication, what's happening with your settings. Really get the balance calculation, how you see your ground, your operation surface, into your magnetic set locations. All right, because now you're in a magnetic field. So what it is basically you're setting yourself up to a higher level position and dimension of space. And when you start seeing these things, you start seeing a cloud. And when you start seeing a cloud, you start seeing electrical settings, electrical grounds, electrical interference, and then your eyes starts to see inversion of everything in projection locations. Okay, so it's very powerful what's happening right now. Okay, you're not just seeing this anymore. You're not just seeing this. You're seeing all around. So the connections to the eye center line interference has to really recognize your position locations of where you are in your DNA. This tracks its interference locations in Hall setting. This opens all operation location setting into your channel operation of your digital frame setting. This puts you in a higher channel operation stream. Okay, so it's all connecting line condition line system. Okay, so getting into that position locations puts you into radio signals, higher level signals, higher levels of wave signals, higher levels of calculation signals, recognition of time signals, high position location signals, echo chamber signals. It's all calculated your eye receptor line setting, right? So you know how you get positions of your ears and it's like it stretches out? Well, your eye's going to do that now, right? Your eyes are the windows of the soul, okay, of your soul. So this is about understanding how you see perception from other lines of other communication, telepathy to one to another set locations. Okay. So your provisions and your DNA is set lines in a higher calculation now. Okay. Setting direct line segments of 0 to 12 set locations in its division location of graph. Digital frames, digital layers, different dimensions of space and time through provision. That's all it is. You're seeing higher levels of dimensional lines of GOD. Rectangular line calculation line interference and direct location signals, guys. It's very powerful when you come to that set of locations. So you get a 12 DNA graph line, 1 position locations, in position location of 2, in position locations of 3, in position locations of 4, in set locations. Right? Those are 4-dimensional graph line settings. Right? But you're connected to your 12 sets in a 34 line setting. So your moon recognizes you through your DNA, through inversion. The obstacle line connections to